I talked to my dad at around 6:10 in the morning, and then he called me again around 7 in the morning, but by that point I was pretty much asleep, so I ended the call, much like one might hit the snooze button on an alarm clock. The phone call woke me up, but it only jarred me awake enough to end that phone call. According to my dad, I made an sound before ending the call, and he told me this sometime after I got up in the afternoon. This phone call was at 2:07 p.m. 2:07 p.m. after I had had some coffee and some zinc water. In a small plastic water bottle. Around the time of 2 p.m., I had discovered that designer Dave is a vocal forge text-to-speech voice. Voice forge voice. That was probably added when they went mobile. Yeah, I heard of this theory when I searched. Most likely designer Dave TTS voice on my mobile phone, which I believe is connected to Google because it's an Android. I believe the first result said that designer Dave was from VoiceForge. So, in order to confirm this theory, I went to the Google Play Store on my BlueStacks 5 emulated Android OS on my laptop and installed the VoiceForge app. And as it turns out, the designer Dave voice was there. The TTS or text-to-speech voices are not in alphabetical order, so I had to scroll through it more than I might have had to otherwise. Apparently, the designer Dave voice is just under the name designer on the VoiceForge mobile app. It may be a little different compared to when it was on Rapper Offline, but it'll do. And then there was a period of time in which I couldn't really decide what I wanted to have the characters of the trio say. I showed Mom the two characters of the trio, the one that's light-skinned and the other that's fair-skinned. She said they were great characters. As I thought about what to have the characters say in order to make a combination of essentially a low self-esteem and poverty, it was suddenly time for Mom and I to go to a place within this area called essentially 200 Great Shops. She initially referred to it as, I believe, the shops on West Ridge, if I recall correctly. And referring it to that made me think of a series of buildings. A series of buildings that sell different themes of stuff, such as one building may be selling video games and another clothes, essentially. But no, it was actually a whole bunch of shops that individually only have walls to serve as boundaries between shops, but you can enter them much like you would at a shopping mall. And it was all under one building. There were all different kinds of things. It was essentially a maze of artistic crafts, such as paintings, handmade furniture, sculptures, comic books in near mint condition, Hot Wheels that Mom used to get me all the time, it created an idea in my mind of maybe asking to be put on the waiting list to various volunteer staff members, to be put on the waiting list to open up a Well, I guess I would call it a booth, but it's not really a booth. This isn't a Comic Con. It's more like a series of stores. That all sell various different things. There were sort of display sections that displayed some old vintage things. Old vintage things. One store sold stuff that were pet themed regarding cats, dogs, and horses. Stores that sold spiritual stuff. Stores that sold various decorative items. And Mom in particular started the whole shopping trip because she was gift shopping for an upcoming birthday of one of her friends. She was also looking for a frame for an 11 by 14 inch heart text thing she ordered offline. That was supposed to be on canvas, but actually turned out to be on paper. We walked around for at least an hour. I think we left around 3. Actually, no, it was around 4 that we left. So I think we arrived at the 200 Great Shops, which has an underground or basement area with a whole bunch more shops. That one combined with the ground floor area adds up to about 200. I think we were there until about 5 p.m. Starting from... Actually, we were there from maybe 4:10 p.m. to roughly 5:15 p.m. And when Mom ultimately settled on getting three music-themed beer bottle openers. One that was in the shape of a microphone, another a giant guitar pick, and the last one in the shape of a guitar. We then went to Michael's to look for a frame. And Mom also ended up getting some hooks, essentially wall hangers, for a bit of a home improvement project in which she has a section within a drawer near the sink below it where you can open it, and from the ceiling of that cabinet below the sink, a whole bunch of pots and pans are suspended from hooks, but currently the lids to them are all scattered on the floor. She's getting those wall hanger hooks so as to make some of the lids also be suspended. Here's my best attempt at explaining it. I initially spoke to staff about looking for a frame that's 11 inches by 14 inches for that picture she was intending to give to her friend. Today in Elvenar, I made the decision to upgrade my builder's hut to level 3 at a cost of 500 diamonds. At the time, I was upgrading this and that at the same time, and I wanted to be able to also upgrade this scrolls manufactory at the same time after I got rid of a mana-producing cultural building to make space for those scrolls manufactory upgrades, because I already have in excess of both culture and mana, so I could easily afford to remove that building. Regardless, I'll be able to get back the diamonds I spent and, save up for the next premium city expansion. The staff volunteers did make efforts at trying to find a frame for Mom. Though the one they found initially it was not wooden, and Mom would prefer a wooden frame for that picture. So it was ultimately decided that we would find and get the frame for the paperback picture at Michael's. She initially looked at the plain 11 by 14 frames that were white, and then the ones that were black that were basic, and 11 by 14, then the black 11 by 14 float frames, then debated between getting either a float frame or a basic frame, before ultimately deciding on getting a float frame, but then decided to get one that was larger than 11 by 14 inches. If I recall, it was a 12 by 16 inch frame, so that the pitcher would actually be floated and you'd be able to see through it from behind while looking at the front of the frame and thus the front of the pitcher, essentially. Obviously, I didn't even think to ask for any styrofoam or Sharpie markers because at an art and craft store like Michael's, they charge you a premium compared to how cheaply you can get styrofoam and Sharpie markers if you buy it at a store that's more general, or even better, order it online, since then you don't have to pay for the cost of a brick and mortar store, so to speak. And though towards the end, Mom had me get a bag of Cheez-Its because she said she felt dizzy after what was a combined total of 2 hours of walking around shopping when you combined our time in the great shops with our time at Michael's. Yeah, but she ended up being fine. And we ended up sharing the bag of Cheez-Its on our way to a suggested trip to Wendy's. Mom got a medium vanilla Frosty. I got the usual large twist Frosty. I got one large fry for me to have with the Frosty once we got home. I got a 10-piece spicy chicken nuggets, and Mom had me get 2 things of large chili. And with the chicken nuggets, I got the sauces, ketchup, and hot honey. But the nuggets and the chili are for later. When we got home, I ate the large twist Frosty and the large fries. Because while they do manage to make them hot and crispy, and within several hours to a day, they become rather cool and either stale, a combination of stale or soggy. And regardless, in that case, it's best to eat an order of Wendy's fries right away. And then a bit later, and Mom and I had what I'm having the leftovers of now, scallops over a sort of curry sauce over sticky jasmine rice. Which I ended up having with a glass of milk, in order to refresh myself after the along with the spiciness of the curry sauce. I think the time between the Wendy's meal and the scallops meal was about an hour. And ever since finishing the initial scallops, I've been tinkering within Lunapic with increases or decreases of either red, initially just red and green, using the adjust colors tool within Lunapic, but then I did adjustments of red. I think I initially increased the amount of red, and that seemed to help to get the custom prop, which I recycled from earlier, as in I didn't make a new custom prop within Lunapic. Instead, I was just adjusting what I made on an earlier day a while back to try and get it to match with the original background gradient. For the car back view background, which I had to put custom props in front of because I wanted to depict a stationary car scene with these conversations between the trio, not a moving car scene. There was a point in which I fell into the temptation of making light level adjustments, but these days I don't think that works out. I'm pretty sure it's always better to just stick to color adjustments between green, red, and blue, because using the snipping tool to make custom props, it causes discolorization, not changes to the contrast or anything like that. It's due to a loss of quality that results from using the snipping tool on my laptop. There was also a point in which Dad considered taking me out for driving lessons today, and then to Salvatore's in order to get a sub, because on that day they have a $10 sub deal. And then later to just go to Salvatore's, then just bring me back a sub from Salvatore's, to no sub at all by the time of the start of the big shopping trip, to which at least one point I expressed a desire to get a cold cuts sub with hot ham, black olives as suggested by my dad, and some oil and mayo. Mayo I wanted, the oil was suggested by my dad. And I added it. The black olives is something I like having in my subs. Yeah, because at that point I had gotten my desire for a cheesesteak sub had been replaced by a desire for a cold cut sub with ham and salami. Hopefully we'll be able to get that cold cut sub another day. Another day.